Hello everyone, welcome to a Bird Eye News video by Travis Tuttle. I'm here at the Solar Roadways display in the town of Sandpoint, Idaho. This interesting new technology was invented by Scott and Julie Broussard. Solar Roadways is an invention to replace typical paved streets, sidewalks, driveways, and parking lots with solar panels. But these are not just regular solar panels. These solar panels have tough, clear shells that can withstand thousands of pounds, as well as LED lights that can be programmed to configure into signs, warnings, advertisements, and other designs. Not only can they do this, but they can also sense weight on the road, such as an animal or landslide. This would tell the road ahead to light up with a warning. Solar Roadways would use some of its power to heat the panels above freezing point to melt snow and ice accumulated on the road. This would eliminate the need for snow plows as well as shoveling driveways. If that's still not enough, Solar Roadways will generate electricity. Lots of electricity. If all the roads and driveways and parking lots and sidewalks in America were replaced with solar panels, an insane amount of energy would be produced. The electrical cables would be run alongside the road. If this invention works, it would change the standard for energy all over the world. Right now, there's a solar roadway display in the center of Sandpoint. The first installation in 2016 was a partial failure. First, they weren't ready to install the display of 30 panels. Then there was an accident that fried several of the panels into a non-working condition, which they installed nonetheless, leaving over half the LED lighted panels unlit. After this rough start, however, they uninstalled the panels, made adjustments, redesigned, and planned for the next installation, and successfully reinstalled all 30 working panels. Not everyone, though, believes that the solar roadways are good. According to them, solar roadways would be way more expensive to produce and repair than the amount of money that the panels would actually make. To cover every road in the world would require millions of solar panels, which would cost far more than the regular asphalt. The amount of energy required for LED lights and melting ice and snow would probably require more energy than the panels would actually produce. The LED lights would work okay in the nighttime, but in the glare of the sun, they would be awfully hard to see. This has a potential to cause more accidents. They believe that the solar roadways is an interesting idea with good intent, but will eventually just fail, wasting thousands of dollars in funding. Unexpectedly, as filming, Mark Cherry, a friend of Scott and Julie, showed up. He gave an interview that proved many of the previous statements about how the solar roadways would never work to be incorrect. He thinks that people are faulting the idea way too much, even though the idea is still in its prototype and testing phase. Some of the faults that the panels have now will be overcome in the future. Alright, well, I have a special interview with Mark Cherry. Can you explain a little bit about the panels and what they do?
Sure. These are the SR 3.1 panels, so it's the second install here at Jeff Jones Square. The first set of panels, the oven malfunctioned, and so the panels had issues because of the oven malfunction. But these panels are all functional. So you have three separate circuits. You've got the solar circuit, you have the LED circuit, and you have the heater circuit, all of which have been working flawlessly for the last 3 weeks. And apart from a problem in the power supply panel, these panels still function just fine. So they should produce about 1,200 watts of power on a high noon, middle of the day, sunny day. They do produce power on a cloudy day. Actually, what Scott and Julie found is they'll produce more power being flat on a cloudy day than normal panels that are angled towards the sun. So it's kind of weird. You would think that you'd always want your panels angled towards the sun, but the data shows that on a cloudy day you get more energy if they're flat.
Oh.
So.
And do the LEDs, when they're on, because I know that they're not on right now for maintenance, but when the LEDs are on, can you actually see them well in the daytime?
Yes. How would you say that? Scott has a program in there that controls the intensity of the LEDs. So there's a light sensor on the circuit board, and at nighttime they dim down because they don't need to be as bright, and then during the daytime they brighten up. And he actually doesn't have them at 100% because he's afraid that the brightness will be so bright during the daytime that, you know, somebody stares at it, they might get eye damage because it's so intense.
Oh, wow, I didn't realize they were that bright.
Yeah. So sometime next week, everything should be up and running again. And there's a little trick you can do if you have a smartphone with a flashlight on it.
Yeah.
You can find the light sensor on the panel
Uh-huh.
and shine your flashlight on it, and it will make the LEDs go to full intensity.
Oh.
So you can see how bright they can actually get with your flashlight.
Does this display melt snow?
Yes, it does. It actually was melting snow from this install, which was about approximately 3 weeks ago. You can see on the webcam footage that there's been several snowstorms, and it kept itself clear the whole time.
At this point, my camera ran out of storage. Mark continued to explain that by the time the panels are ready to be commercially installed, the technology will be improved and production will be to the point where the panels would be producing more energy than they're using, and also making more money than it costs to produce them. The LEDs could be programmed to have advertisements as well as change the configuration of roadways and parking lots instead of repainting it. To see if the display actually melted snow, 2 people from our school drove to the display and shoveled snow onto the 2 panels. Unfortunately, by the time we realized the panels were turned off for future maintenance, the 2 of them were being questioned by the police. I found out from my interview with Mark Cherry that the test panels do indeed melt snow. The Solar Roadways may or may not become a groundbreaking, amazing technology, but no matter what, it will set people's minds to the future of our environment and to discover new ways to help it and not pollute it. Thank you for watching, and this has been a Bird Eye News report by Travis Tuttle.